Weed has so many uses. Things like laughing louder, enjoying chips and dip to the fullest, making fun of your friends, and shooting at retired folk because they stumbled onto your massive grow-up in the middle of nowhere, on their way to a hunt camp and almost died, because 6 guys in black ski masks needed a helicopter to extract the 17 hockey bags of weed, and because you slowed them down they tried to blow your head off 6 times. You run away scared for your life and find out later that your other friend who's renting a house gets his door kicked in by 6 more guys in black ski masks. Running theme: because I thought you were a dealer that wasn't paying up, but they didn't believe that you weren't him. Even though you begged and pleaded that they not kill you, they still held you at gunpoint, demanding that you tell them or they'll spill your brain matter all over the bathtub that they've got you tied up in. And then they threaten to find your family and kill them too, because maybe they could pay up. It's fine. It's totally okay. But then you realize that if only weed was legalized, that there wouldn't be any problem. There wouldn't be so many people getting killed and shot at, because we'd all be free and happy and eating chips and laughing with our friends.
It started with our name. We're always asked about Virginians against drug violence. And unfortunately, because of the fact that we are often on the defensive in trying to stop bad laws from being passed. Just for an example, a couple of years ago, we stopped a law that would have been passed. It would have created a death penalty for just a small baggie of cocaine possession. You would have been eligible for the death penalty. And we feel that that is violence against individuals that may or may not have a drug problem, that may or may not need health treatment. And certainly this is a very violent approach to trying to get them off of drugs. But in the broader context, with the drug war in general, violence in the drug war takes on very different, much less personal meanings. But when you look at instability in countries where you have people using the drug money to support all sorts of terrorist activities, you have the actual fighting over turf, where one drug cartel may want control from another drug cartel. You never see Budweiser and Heineken, duking it out with guns, across the streets of America. But you do see, the different cartels that want to control those street corners, duking it out across America. And one thing that's spreading like a literal plague across the world is gang violence. And gang violence is almost completely connected to drugs and drug distribution. In our eyes, when you have this type of violent situation, throwing more policy on it that is more restrictive to try to make it more and more punitive is kind of like throwing gasoline on a fire or water on an oil fire. You're just spreading it and making it more and more destructive, whereas you should try to contain it and to deal with it.
I just came back from Mazatlan. My sister lives on the coast in Sinaloa. There's a war going on. There are police cars patrolling the streets right now in convoys of 3. And they're carrying, I don't know what weapon it is, but it's huge. And they're pointing it at the street. This is the perception I get. I'm walking down the street and I feel that I am being followed by this gun. All because of marijuana. Part of the government program policy to eradicate marijuana. They go up to the mountains, they look for plantations, and they pull them out, they burn them.
And just to give you a simple example of how this drug policy can cause the opposite effect of what you're thinking, it's sort of counterintuitive, I'll give you the explanation that a police chief gave when he came to our university in Virginia. Police Chief Cameron from South Florida came up and gave a presentation. He said when he first started out fighting drugs in his community, he with all haste tried to clean the streets, and he arrested someone off of a street corner and he put him in jail, and they were found guilty, and he went to jail and the whole 9 yards. When that person came out of jail, there was then another person selling drugs on that street corner. So the end result, after arresting someone and putting them in jail, was to just a short time later have 2 drug dealers on that street corner where there was previously just 1, and now they're going to fight each other over turf again. So you have this oscillating effect of going back and forth between stability on the street corner to fighting, to stability to fighting. And for a time period in New York, it got so bad that the streets were red with blood for people fighting over turf. And the violence from drugs themselves, we don't delude ourselves to believe that drugs don't cause harm. You have drugs like alcohol and methamphetamine that are both notorious for causing violence. And if you have a situation where you try to go buy some cannabis, which is a notoriously peaceful drug, and instead, because of the drug war, making it more difficult to carry around a stinky, large plant material, much easier to carry around a small amount of white powder, you're offered methamphetamine instead. This is not a good situation.
H H? What's H? Not so loud. It's heroin. Will it make me sick like the reefers did?
This is the type of situation we have with the drug war. Again, it's no control. Whoever is dealing the drugs, they decide what they're going to deal. We have no ability to say what they're going to sell. And it's very likely and possible that when you go to try to buy a drug on the street and you're looking for one drug, let's say cocaine or ecstasy, which are not necessarily very dangerous when compared with PCP or methamphetamine, you may be offered the latter and not the former. And in Netherlands, I personally know from my experience and also from my research that that is the purpose of these coffee shops. It's because within the coffee shop, you can buy a little bit of cannabis, you can sit there and smoke it and have a cup of tea, you can become a little mellow and listen to some music and go home, and you'll never be offered cocaine, you'll never be offered heroin, you'll never be offered methamphetamine. You're in a safe zone where the police can come and talk to you, and I've been talked to by the police many times in the coffee shop. They come interact with the people, they find out what's in your cigarette, you know, and just peacefully, not in any kind of an invasive way. They want to understand. And again, just like the ladies of temperance of the 1930s, that's what they really need. They need access to the individuals that are using the drugs so that they can meet them halfway and try to help them instead of try to badger them over the head into submission.
It always works like that. For the police, drugs is very handy, very practical. Police tell me this. I said, look, within the police, generally, internationally speaking, some of them, they think, look, why should we bother with drugs? I mean, come on, we have bigger problems. Then why are we spending so much time running after drugs? There's one school within the police force, which is growing, and most supported by many academics. You know, also think, hey, aren't there bigger problems in society? Isn't this, you know? Okay, that's one school. The other school says, no, but drugs is a good tool for us. It gives us a tool. And because drugs allows us to always to be able to stop somebody. Especially kids who are maybe causing a little bit of trouble, who have a little deviant lifestyle, maybe small illegal things. Drugs always gives the police the power to stop somebody, stop and search. So the police says, no, we want drugs to be illegal because it gives us possibilities to control populations, especially the young people. And young people today, just like the poor in the 19th century, the dangerous classes. Interestingly, now young people are increasingly seen as the dangerous classes, just like the poor classes were seen as dangerous, you know.
Thank you.